Hey, welcome, all my right thinkers. Thanks for tuning in to check out your boy, P Funk. Thank you, right? I in the lab, in the wee hours of the morning. I do what I do for you. Oh, I got a nice one for you today. We going back to the book. I got a nice one-page lesson for you, so it shouldn't take that long. Let's go. Rightism, 25 rules to live by. Storytelling, story with a message and a story for life, even if it's from the book. Let's do what we do. Right thinking mission, and that's what I'm on, is to enlighten, inspire, educate, and motivate you, the individual, to a higher spiritual level of enlightenment. Right thinking is way of life, and for me, it is. Through mental and spiritual discipline daily will help and guide you to obtain your goal of reaching spiritual enlightenment, aka know thyself. My mission is to get all the information I could to you to help you know thyself. So that's my mission. I'm on it. Your goal is to become a right thinker and know thyself. Let's go. Question is, do you know you? It's rhetorical, but if you don't have the answer for yourself, tune in. I can help you with that. That's what I do for you. Knowing thyself. A person who knows not and knows not that they know not, foolish, disregard them. A person who knows not and knows that they know not, it's simple. You teach them, they're ready. That's why I do what I do for you. I appreciate you too. Stay tuned. I got you. A person who knows not and believe and think that they know, dangerous, avoid them. I do. A person who knows but knows not that they know, do they really know? I'm just saying, no, they're spiritually asleep. I'm the spiritual alarm clock here to wake them up with knowledge of self. That's what I do for you. A person who knows and knows that they know is wise. Follow them. All these persons reside in you. Right thinker, know thyself. And to my app, be true. Today, we're back in the book. Tree of life. I start using TOL means the tree of life, okay, to shorten it up a little bit. But today's lesson is going to be about right thinkers. Let's talk about mastery of self-discipline, aka using the Flair. When you see Osiris like this, got a flare in one hand and the thief in the other. One is like the shepherd when you're herding the sheep. The pride that he got that. That's one. The other one's the flare to keep stuff away from you. But we're gonna use it. Okay, we got operative flare. Then we got the speculative use of a flare. One used to keep stuff away from you, keep stuff, and the other one is we're gonna understand today. This is the esoteric meaning, which is the hidden meaning of the flare, and we're using it in a speculative manner. Meaning we're gonna use it mentally. We're gonna have a different concept of it. It's called speculation. Why? We use the mental aspect of it. Let's go. It's a quick lesson. Hope you understand. The action of the flare is self-discipline. The action of the flare is self-discipline in what? In practice, meaning you're doing it. Practice of what? The discipline, self-discipline of who? Sheedy. Remember Sheedy? In relations to the efforts in the application of the principles for each level of the tree of life that you're going on. Sheedy means to study, to put in the work. And this action of the flare, here you go, what it means diligence and discipline. Two of my favorite things. Diligent and discipline of what? Of the spirit on the spiritual path, and it is what purifies you. That's what separates you from what? The mixture that has developed within your personality, your character. You have to become spiritually disciplined. Why? Because the ways of the world, your personal desires, things like that. If you're ignorant and weak, you're going to fall victim to those things. That's why. So the flare is used to discipline yourself. Here we go. Watch this. Now, the changing, wait a minute. Nope. The mixture of your what? Transcendental nature, which is the spirit that's in you, within the time and space and objects, creates what? Delusions of what? Your mortal reality into a ever changing. This world changes every day. It changes. But this is ever changing, and you become weak and your ignorant personality, aka what? Ego. When all else fails, we revert back to the ego. And if you haven't gotten enlightened, your ignorance to all you got is ego. That's not going to get it. Every human personality, watch this, is a mixture, have a little bit of everything of these qualities. But your soul is here, your soul is in there inside your body. Your eternal aspect, which is the spirit that's in you, watch this, your egoism is there also. Stop right there. Because I study, pay attention. I got a different concept, a different view. The ego is just as strong as anything else. Why? It's always there. You can't get rid of your ego. That's who you identify with. That's the I in every individual. So we all have an ego. The self. What's the higher self? Recognizing that it ain't just the ego, it's the higher self. Set is the ego. Lower self. Haru, what you want to aspire to be, Christians, Christ-like, is done by what? Raising your consciousness, being a better person, living righteous, virtuous, helping others, doing the right thing. That's what that's all about. And anybody can do it. And for everyone who do it, God, the one that's gonna bless you. It ain't man. I don't do this for man. So understand that. You can't get rid of the ego. You have to control the ego. Trust me, that's the best worker. They say the phrase, it ain't the size of the dog in the fight, it's the size of the fight in the dog. Your ego is the dog. How big he is, totally up to you. Okay, let's go. Now you have, watch this, you have some intellect aspects. Yeah, I said, okay. And you have some mortal aspects. That's that. Remember, I said is intuition, wisdom, and knowledge. Nephi, the twin sister, is mortality. You got to realize we're going to die. If we're born, we're going to die. That's what that represents, mortality, that aspect of understanding that the physical body has an expiration date. And you have, watch this, some bit of aspiration. That's Haru. Sorry. That's what drives you. That's the other dog that's in you. That dog to keep you down here, set. That dog that wants to rise you, that's Haru. That's the holy war that's in you. They're always going to be in opposition. Why? One is this and one is that. They can't go together, but they are one in shape. That the yin and the yang. Spiritual, physical. Spiritual and physical. We got to go from matter to spirit. We came from spirit to matter. Now we got to go back. The physical world sends us back to the spiritual plane. Another lesson, but that's the concept. But the aspiration in you, that's Haru. Watch this. You got a better aspiration for something better. You're aspiring to be. My aspiration, I want to be my best self. So I aspire to do that every day by putting my work in. Thinking about it, wishing, hoping don't mean nothing. When you put the work in, you get results. Simple. Moving on. But watch this. You have some intellectual aspect and you have some mortal aspect and you have some bit aspect. Okay, but watch this. But always remember, always with a person who is not pure, their aspirations is what going to be eventually throttled. If your aspirations is what not pure, I mean your heart ain't in the right place, you ain't doing the right thing, wasn't pure, simple, and it was throttled. It is going to be throttled again. I mean it's going to come to an end. Every dynasty that was built on lies and deceit and wrong was what? Came to an end. Conceptually. You are going to try to be what? A good person. My generation, all I wanted to do was be a good father, a good person. I didn't aspire to be rich and famous. Now, that's all everybody wants. It ain't enough room. It ain't enough room, okay? Like sports. You got 2,000 positions, but you got 20,000 people or more wanting them positions. So the competition is thick. So find your lane in life, young people. Find your lane. And when you're doing right, you can go in any lane if you're doing the right thing. Ain't no lane off limits. So trust me, you are going to try to what? To do good things for other people, just good people. You are going to try to what? Follow the path that has been laid out by who? The sages, Mhm. You are going to try to what? Stop eating meat. That's a choice. I ain't big on that concept. Again, Taliban thinkers. Anything that you don't like, let it go. Anything that don't apply to you, let it go. Simple. I ain't with to stop eating meat because I'm a carnivore. You are what? Going to try to not do what? Something that is going to cause you to end up in jail. Drug selling. Okay. That nonsense. That well, I ended up. So I can tell you, yeah, that's true. I lived it 40 years ago. So again, it plays itself out in life. You are going to try not to get into a fight. Put the X right there. My man, fighting was the way of life that come up. We used to use these for a reason. Now they just using this. So that's a done deal. But when you physically fit and you're mentally competent, fighting ain't nothing but something to do. And if I get upset, you got a problem. So I'm trying to avoid that. Right now, I'm 65 years old, still working on that one. Another lesson. But you were trying to get out of fights. What's this? But your personality, which is street, is defective if and you will make what mistakes when you do what your ego self wants to do. It's going to be wrong. How about that? That first thought, that knee jerk, no. Why? It's going to be wrong, and you still got to pay for the action that you're going to perform. Wise men think about the consequences. Ignorant people think about it after they do it. Monday morning quarterbacking never won a game yet. So if you do something and realize it was wrong after you did it, too late. Like Scooby Doo, what roll? So understand that. Here you go. Making mistakes is understandable, but continually making them, they no longer a mistake. It's a habit. Moving on. Sorry. Now that is why there must be a process of spelled AB. Ab means heart. It means process of, which means purification. You purify your heart by doing the right thing and helping others. Mistreating people deceitfully and having a person's agenda, that don't get you no blessings. You'll figure that out. But when you doing the right thing, you're purifying your heart. Trust me. And this is the first level of priestly service. Selfish people can't do what I do. Why? They're not gonna go through the rigors and the things they take to make that happen. Why? They're selfish. I'm doing it. I do what I do for you. I make that known because that's why I do it. Moving on. And this is the first level, priestly service. Now, its objective is to what? To render your personality what? Morally pure. The goal is to live a righteous and virtuous life. So at the end of it, when your heart is judged, it's going to be light as Maya's feather. If you are those kind of people, the sectarian, egoism type, sneaky, deceitful, your heart's going to be heavy. Why? All that weighs the heart down. That's why. So if we taught our young people that, and if a young person did the right thing and got blessed, what do you think they're going to do? Continue to do the right thing. If they sneak and deceitful and get away with the wrong thing, same thing gonna happen. They're gonna continue to do that. So moving on. I ain't got the first paragraph. Let me get this. Oh man, let me get this thing down. I said it's gonna be quick. I lied. Now you must hit yourself metaphorically, speculatively, with the flare. And the flare means what? Self-discipline. When you're feeling yourself getting out of pocket, check yourself. Hit yourself with the flare. Come back to where you need to be. Stabilize yourself. I breathe. Why? Because when the heart is agitated, when you get angry, when your emotions change, your heart goes like this. So it's in freak mode. Breathe. Calm it down. When the heart is at ease, the mind can work better. When the heart agitated, the mind can't function. It's hard. That's why they work as one. When they work as synonymous, you understand that. Watch this. But now, when you following the teachings that have been laid out, right in philosophy, this is the program. This is the process. You listening. You listen. You reflect. And then, personally, you meditate, and the rest of the disciplines of Shidi and Sejam Shedjem is spelled Sedjem. It means to what? Listen and obey. Not just listen, obey. Well, I hear you. Okay. When people say they hear you, that means it went in one end out the other. It didn't stop and didn't plant no seed in the mind. So they ain't hear the words you said. And that's why it's important they tell you, listen intently, reflect on what you heard, and then you meditate on it. Now you got it. Now you got it. If you don't do those three things, you might not obtain the knowledge that you're supposed to or you think you want to get. Those are processes that you do to obtain it. This is what, watch this, the sages have decreed. What? You must understand that you are not just a mindless human being or human animal that has come into the realm of generation, the realms where things generate and multiply, meaning the flesh, the realm where you have what? Sex and babies come out, where galaxies collide and bring forth new worlds. This is the world in which we live in. Okay, it's physical. We use our five senses to deal with this. Why the sixth sense is so hard the secret? The sixth sense is open up the third eye, the pineal gland. Now you see for real. I'm just saying, my goal is to get you to open your third eye so you can see within yourself is the spiritual eye. Let's go. There is another aspect you don't that doesn't generate, that does not bring forth any children. This is the round that we're gonna go to. Watch this. I told you in that round there is no sex. I just told you, ain't no sex in heaven. Why? Because we're not in the physical body. The physical body is in hell. Once the body deceased and go back to hell, it become the nutrients in the earth where it come from, the spirit leaves. It's either gonna go get another body or go home. Concept. And moving on. When you go to that place where there's nothing being brought forth, no children, watch this. That has not been born, that doesn't do anything, do you realize that if you come into existence, what happens? If you bring anything into existence, what's going to happen? That thing has to what? Eventually fall out of existence. I mean, it's going to deteriorate because why? It is not real. We live in an illusory world. It doesn't exist. Why? In an abiding way. The only thing that's abiding is truth as an absolute reality. That don't change. Why? Only that which is what? Absolute can exist forever and eternity. The spirit that dwells in us, the consciousness that created this, that's what this is talking about. And you having, watch this, having no beginning, therefore no end. God created himself. He's the Alpha and he's the Omega, beginning and end. So right now, he's in his dream state, meaning we're in his dream. We are part of his world. So I can say illusionary. This is not our world. This is God's world. We just part of it. We here. Do what you need to do. Why? But the spirit, once it comes to the physical world, it needs a favor. It needs something from you. What? To know yourself. Do yourself a favor and your spirit. And y'all can both go on into eternity. That's the concept. And the Egyptians lived by that and worked fine for them. We got all these different religions, all different concepts, and ain't none of it working for us. Well, few of us who do it right because all of them got that thread of truth in it. And when you find that truth, you roll with that and you go with it. I found mine, so I understand. Trust me. Moving on. Let me get this. I'm sorry. I'm just going on. The Flair. Here you go. Discipline separates you from what is what? Not real. From the aspect of your personality, the worldly from the spiritual. And what does it expect from you? Let's look at the two aspects or the two specific divinities that relate to this point. We are talking about right now. Who is that? These divinities that are just supposed. Just supposed. That means opposite. And on the tree of life, at the top, we got Ra. At the bottom, we got Haru. Break that down when I get there. But it's the divinity that's just supposed in the Tie realm, which is the Tie, which is Earth, hell. Okay. Set and Aset. Okay, they opposites, not companion opposites. They opposites in what they do and who they are. Watch this. They are an arrow pointing towards them like this between them, and they are what the important connections that allow you to start your spiritual journey on what? The tree of life. Set and Aset are what? Rivals. He killed the husband. You think they'd be friends? So yeah, they are natural rivals or enemies, as you put, as it were. There, that's just through the term enemy is not appropriate from a higher perspective. There are just opposites. All human beings who have not discovered what their higher self, their higher nature, live life controlled by what? Their egos. To become, to some degree, watch this, that is set. If you're living on the egoistic plane, you're a Satanian. You're not Haru. You ain't got past Earth yet. You're still earthbound. And the idea is, watch this, all human beings who are not discovered their higher self, watch this. So in order, watch this, in order to counter egoism, what's the opposite of egoism? Right quick. Which is where you are starting from. You need to apply wisdom, knowledge. If you're ignorant, you get knowledge. If you are egoistic, you become humble. Why? Gaining wisdom humbles you to understand this is what you should be doing, how you should be doing it. Egoistic, just braggadocious. I don't understand that. Well, that's just natural enemies. Wisdom and egoism don't go together. Natural enemies. Wrapping up for you. Yeah, we're no long. Sorry about that, but let's go. Wrapping it up, taking it home. And what this means is that if you have more set in your personality, which is egoism, emotionality, lust, sexual desires, selfishness, etc., those are all satanic qualities. If you have that in you, watch this, you are going to have less set, no wisdom or knowledge of self in your life. And from a broad perspective, Maya, order, righteousness, and ethics is included here since Mayat is what? The aspect of Aset. So if you ain't practicing Mayat, you went by the ego, you got no righteousness in you, you got no wisdom, you got no self. You are on your own. Remember, ego is what? Edging God out. So wrap it up. If you have more egoism in you, you ain't a godly person. You ain't a good person. It's telling you that. Watch this. You are going to have what? Less wisdom and intellectual capacity to what? Understand the teachings. Why? Because egoism clouds the intellect. And without intellect, right thinking ability, without intellectual development, there will be even what? Less for intuitional understanding. That means you got no intuition knowledge. You got no access to the higher self and no understanding about what? Your higher self. Again, wrapping up. Wisdom occurs in your personality in direct relation and proportion to what? The presence of your ego. The bigger the ego, the bigger problem you're going to have trying to be a right thinker. When you learn to humble yourself, you obtain knowledge of self, the ego self will work for you. It won't go nowhere. It just be in a service mode. That's where you want the ego to work for you, not to work you. So hope you enjoyed the lesson. I'm out. I got more.